December 21st, 2020. I'd like to give out some ideas for moms and dads on how to teach your kids how to pay rent. Now, parents, when your son or daughter turn 18, you want to sit down with your kids and talk with them whether they want to live in an apartment or in a house. But I'll say this. You want to be fair. You do not want to say, hey, who's your landlord? Or it doesn't matter whether you're being a landlord. It doesn't matter. Because you will not give respect unless you give respect. But I will say this. If I was charging rent, before I would charge rent, I'd sit down with your kids, with my kids. I would sit down with my kids and ask where they want to live. If they want to live in an apartment, let's say $900, I would suggest that they pay like $90, like 10% of that. That way they can get a little taste of paying rent. And if they want to live in a house, let's say $2,000 is for the mortgage. They're paying $200. So, if I want to live in an apartment, and if I have kids that want to live in an apartment, or nieces and nephews, and they charge an apartment, I just charge them $90 for rent. I want them to get a taste of how it's like to make them understand to pay rent. But even that might not be, but that's still going to be reasonable. You be reasonable, you be fair, you be respectful. If you change up the rules on paying rent, and moms or dads, and even if you're not going to stick to your promise, you are not ready. You're not ready to teach them to pay rent. And you are not ready at all. Because your kids, they probably want to learn themselves if you're going to be changing up the rules of your agreements. You either stick to your agreements or you're not ready. That's one of your two choices. You don't have to take my idea, but you will at least have a little respect for your kids. Discuss it with them first. Apartment or house? I would suggest starting with an apartment. If you start with an apartment, you don't have to pay too much rent. But you still do a portion. And if you go too much, if you want to change up your deals, you're not ready. If I change up my deals with my kids, I wasn't ready. And I would have to be, and if I change up the deals, that would force me to do this. I would have to dismiss the program for a little bit until I can think of the reason why they wouldn't want to. Oh wait, they wouldn't want to because I chose to be unfair. And let me say this: if you choose to be unfair, that's their fault. If you want to teach a kid your son or daughter how to be successful, you have a little respect for them. Don't ever change anything unless you're willing to stick to your agreement. If they don't agree with your terms, figure it out. Figure it out. Be respectful. Or if they don't want to stick to your terms. If you always changing terms, I won't want to be around people like that. guess what? Those people are not worth hanging out if you're gonna change up everything. And let me say this. It's not always about you. It's not always about you. You don't ever make it everything about you. Because if you make everything about you, I swear you're gonna regret that. Don't you ever idolize yourself. You idolize yourself. Boom. It's just gonna be a world saying that, having an orbit saying this. Me. Welcome to the planet of Thomas Wiggin, for example. Like, everything is about Thomas. Welcome to his planet. Stop making it to be about yourself as a planet. If you want to change, be respectful, or be reasonable. If you don't want to be reasonable about teaching your kids to pay rent, and if you didn't sit down with them to talk about if they want to live in an apartment, but you made it your terms, you weren't ready. They weren't ready because you didn't teach them successfully to be ready. You just went along. You just made it your terms. Made it how you wanted it to be. You just weren't ready. Period. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter whether your relationship is strained. It doesn't matter if you want to be close with them. Because I'll say this. Don't ever charge your son or daughter rent unless you sit down with them asking where they want to live after college. And if they're paying rent on their own, then fine. They don't need you to teach. They don't need you to teach them. I suggest you show a little respect. Do not be passive aggressive. Don't expect anything in return. Period. Because you want me to say this? Be passive aggressive and make everything about you. I don't want to hang out with you because I'm not interested. It's not my business. Whatever happens, whatever arguments you have, I don't want any part of it. So please take my advice. I should consider it. Like, rate, comment, subscribe.